A warm welcome and very good afternoon to a series of windows of opportunities in science and engineering and virtual webinar series organized by Indian National Science Academy and Indian National Young Academy of Science, INSA and INIAS. Those who were not present during our last two Saturdays session, just to give you a brief idea, INIAS was founded by INSA in 2014 and with the main objective of promoting science education and most importantly, networking amongst all the young budding scientists at national as well as international level. So we have currently 80 members and we all actively involved in science outreach program and then remote area lectures, career awareness workshops and so many other things that are very, very relevant to the current topics. And within this context, Indian National Young Academy of Sciences, Mumbai chapter, Indian National Science Academy, Mumbai chapter, together have organized already the last two Saturdays. These are the two Saturdays lectures. Those who have missed, please visit our INIAS YouTube channel. They have been live streamed and liked, and one of the most important top tips on education, higher education opportunities after bachelor's and BTech was given by our expert Professor Arpita Mondal in the first Saturday series. Last Saturday, we had with us Professor Janvi Punekar, who spoke on the S in STEM with the relevance and opportunities in the particular field. So, to continue with that, we have in today's webinar series of Windows of Opportunities in Science and Engineering, Dr. Tuli Bakshi. So, to introduce you, Dr. Tuli Bakshi is currently a postdoctoral fellow working at Department of Earth Sciences, IIT Bombay. Dr. Tuli has done her PhD at Department of Mining Engineering from IIT Kharagpur and then MTech from IIT Bombay in 2010 in Petroleum Geoscience and MSc again from IIT Bombay, especially in Applied Geology. And when I was reading Dr. Tuli's biodata, I was so impressed. Having such a beautiful biodata on the credit is like a very nice, Dr. Tuli. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and sharing the actual roadmap to a stress-free journey, because especially not only in COVID-19, but overall doing research. I'm not scaring all the budding young scientists who are thinking to do research or who would like to take career as a research. But yes, research is a very, very courageous step. Only courageous people go for research. So thank you so much, Dr. Tuli, for accepting our invitation and ready to share the extracts of your experiences, especially in the research. So Dr. Tuli is a well site geologist in Dart Energy India. She has already worked in the company also, and she has received a lot of best research presentation, best research awards, and also on her credit she has high standard and reputed journals on her credit. She was also selected as a research assistant in Imperial College London, European Union, when she was working at IIT Kharagpur, especially for greenhouse gas project. And she is a recipient of prestigious fellowships. There are many, but to name few, she was awardee of British Gas Fellowship, and most importantly, not only in research and technical background, but she's a very good blogger and has been associated with the digital media giants like The Wire, Youth Ki Awaaz, The Queen, and Feminism in India. And she has been associated, especially working with Women's Council, Women Empowerment, writing on women-related issues, and so many other things. It's like very impressive. Dr. Tuli, and spending your time today with our student and researchers and early career scientists to help them to manage the stress-free life along with your own, journey. So once again, on behalf of INIAS and INSA Mumbai chapter, I would like to thank you for sparing your time, and look forward for your very active and informative talk on roadmap to SSP journey. Dr. Tuli, over to you.
Uh, Thank you very much, Shalini, and thank you, INSA, for giving me this opportunity so that I can share my own experience and I can do my bit um, to tell people how to, reduce our stress while we are in the field of research. Because we all know, as when I was doing my PhD, I was associated with a lot of people and a lot of activities, and I saw that people were very stressful. And this academia, this whole thing is very stressful, and the mental health is still a taboo in our society, and we should talk about it. The first road to healing is accepting yourself. So I thought, why not I talk about this opportunity? When I was asked, what do you want to talk about, I thought, I'll talk about this uh, stress-free journey. Because when I was doing my PhD, frankly speaking, I was among the very few lucky students who can say that I had the most beautiful time of my life in my PhD. I know that sounds oxymoron, that PhD and good time, fun, it doesn't go together. But there are a few things and few tricks which I followed, and it really helped me cope up with the things around me. So I thought I should share my experience and my journeys so that other people can, that will help other people. So probably I should start. And thank you very much for providing me this opportunity again. So I'll start with. So my topic is roadmap to a stress-free research journey. So as we know, stress is
Dr.
everywhere.
Tuli, sorry to interrupt. If you can make it in the presentation mode, it will be nice.
Okay, yes. I'm so sorry. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Uh, Stress is like everywhere. I mean, it's ubiquitous. In modern times, we can't really escape stress, but we can follow a few steps and tips and tricks to avoid it for a while. I am sharing this because, frankly speaking, I joined PhD a bit late after being in service. And at that point of time, I already saw my very intelligent friends, juniors, seniors in their PhD road. And I saw them how these, I mean, they were like toppers in universities and colleges, and still they were stressed. So I knew what I was getting into, and it was not easy. So why this happens? Because basically during PhD, we are overwhelmed with work. Not only work, we have to publish, and there is uncertain future, what will happen. We have to publish papers, we have to do networking. And then we all know that we have to handle our supervisors and committee members. And then there are personal problems which absolutely cannot avoid. So all together combined, it makes our lives a living hell. So we can't plan on life, but what we can is we can definitely plan on our PhD in a way so that the workload and supervisors and all other external factors don't overwhelm us. So how to do that? So first and foremost thing, when we are getting into PhD, uh, to all the people who are listening, my request is, do it because you want to do it, not because you can get a job or uh, because you have, like, everyone is doing, so I have to do PhD. It's not like that. It's a full-time responsibility. It's like your child. So you absolutely cannot avoid, and you have to be very determined. And you have to be very sure what you are getting into. Now, suppose you have to choose a subject. So what subject will you choose? You have to, obviously you will choose a subject which you like. Now passion alone won't get you there. So since your research will probably feed you for the rest of your lives and it will be your career, you have to be a bit more pragmatic and practical in what you are choosing. So check out the areas which are not already saturated, and you can add a lot more scope into it. And obviously, the area, the research area will intrigue you. It has to be a factor, but also you have to look it's not already saturated. So check for its relevance and its future prospects. So now suppose you have chosen. So next thing is very important. It's like you have to choose your guide and you have to do it very carefully. So it's more like your guide is not a matter of 4 or 5 years. Probably he's going to be there with you for the rest of your lives. He's not only your guide, he'll be your like a friend, philosopher, guide kind of a thing. So you have to choose it very carefully. So you have to choose, find out who is the best person to guide you. You have to look in different schools. You have to research about your professor. You have to look what kind of papers they're publishing, where they are publishing, which journals, where in which conferences he and his students are going, how many projects he is handling, and how many collaborations are there with him. So why these are important? Because if he is publishing in good journals, in good papers, there is a high probability that you'll follow that trend too. Once you're in this lab, obviously you'll follow that trend. So if his students are going in good conferences, so it's a possibility that you will go to good conferences and you will have good networking. Now, number of projects means if he is handling a lot of projects, that means he is very much up to date in his field, and he's probably he'll be having a lot of collaborations. And if he is having a lot of collaborations, so that means he has good contacts, which will obviously help you and help him also. So, so these are some tricks that you have to follow. So now guide is chosen. You have to study well, and then you get yourself admitted in the school of your choice or wherever. Now the PhD starts. So this is the first day of your PhD, and you're in full energy that you're on the top of the world. And I have seen since I have done my PhD from IIT Kharagpur, every day, first time a PhD student comes, the DP changes. From the main building of IIT Kharagpur is there and dedicated to the service of the nation, things like that. But you are yet to understand, you yet to experience what is about to happen. Probably you're going to take a journey which will change you from Leonardo DiCaprio to Nana Patekar. So after you enter, you got to know a few things. Nothing, it may so happen that things don't go as per plan. Suppose you chose a topic of your interest, but it may so happen that your committee members or your supervisor tells you that maybe it's not possible right now. You do research in this area, is area of my choice. You do research in this area. Already, obviously, it's not very likely, but it may so happen because I have seen people. So even if that happens, don't get disheartened because research is multidisciplinary at this point of time. So what you can do, you can obviously mold it in such a way you can add 2 or 3 objectives of your choice in there. So researchers are multidisciplinary. So even if your topic changes, you can mold it as per your plan. So now your PhD starts, and the first shock that hits you badly is that you have to work on weekends. So now this is very important step. So the honeymoon phase is over, and now you're in full PhD mode. So now you have to plan it such a way so it won't be stressing you for the rest of your time, and you won't be overwhelmed with work. So if you plan it in some way, you can avoid your stress for a while. So all the stress and stresses depend on how you plan your PhD. Say, like me, I'll give you my example. Uh, you are into experimental work, okay? So uh, while you are doing literature survey, you have to identify obviously what are the untouched area and how your work is going to help identify. You have to identify the gaps and how are you going to achieve your targets and how will your research help your society. This helping your society is very important. You have to have a relevant topic, so it will help the society. So if you, while you identifying gap, you have to understand one thing. So say I am doing experimental work, so what kind of instruments are available in your laboratories? Because to achieve your objective, you have to uh, look for experimental procedures, and uh, your methodology should be as per plan, and what kind of instruments are present in your laboratory. If it is not with your professor, just see what are available with your DSC members, what are available with other researchers, other professors in your department or outside the department or in the institute. And then if it is nowhere, it may so happen that you have to do acquire funding for it. You have to write a project for industry with the help of your guide, and then you have some money, you get the money, and then you deliver them, your whatever deliverables are in the project, and you get a instrument in a laboratory. And then there is another thing. If your guide has good collaborators, you can obviously look for the collaboration and then collaborate with your guide's contacts, or you can collaborate uh, in your own way also. You don't always need your guide to collaborate, but you have to look for this, and you have to plan it early in your research. It shouldn't be like in the midway you realize you are running out of time, and you have to do this and this experiment, and then you don't know what to do. At that time panic comes, so you don't do that. You plan it early, and then you always look for exchange programs. Like there are Indo-US exchange programs, there are Raman Charpak exchange programs, there are a lot of exchange programs. You have to keep your eyes and ears open for them. And then obviously there can be some exchange programs from your university, like in IIT Kharagpur there are exchange programs with 13 universities, University of Wollongong, and places like that. So you can obviously apply for them as well. So draw a map that you will take 4 or 5 years. And in year one, you're going to do this. Year two, you're going to do this and this experiments, whatever available in your near vicinity. In year three, whatever available in your collaborators vicinity, and things like that. And then plan that you have to publish a paper within 2 years or 3 years. You have to publish 2 papers. It's like that. So if you have plans like that, that you will publish in 2 years, probably you are going to publish in the third year. So you have to plan very carefully. So this is there. Then at this point of time, you realize that you are already overwhelmed with work. You are working day in and day out. You're working in weekends. So what happens is basically, it's bound to happen that you are stressed. So there are several things, there are several stressors. So now your passion for PhD is like, you can see in the picture, there are 3 ways it manifests. Your passion, when it becomes stress, you have depression, you have anxiety, and the most common thing in academia is imposter syndrome. So I'll come to them later. But before that, you have to understand what are the stressors. The stressors in academia, especially to PhD students, because we are overwhelmed with work, we follow an erratic work schedule, and our human body or human mind, we always try to follow order. So if it is not ordered, we are stressed physically and then emotionally. And then there is one biggest thing, that is relationship with your supervisor. There is like a huge, sometimes he doesn't understand us, and maybe you don't understand him, and there is always a gap, and it's always, the relationship becomes a burden sometimes, and it stresses us. So why we should talk about stress is not only for our mental health issues, because we are all students of science here. We have to understand one thing. So if we are stressed, let me tell you, our it affects our physical things very badly. It affects our physiology in a huge manner. So we it alters our hormones like our cortisol levels or our adrenaline levels flow in erratic manner. So it affects our heartbeat or our peristaltic, our food uh, pipe movements. So what happens? We have indigestion issues. We have irritable bowel syndrome. We develop blood pressure, and this is happening not for one. You are stressed for 5 years. So imagine the harm you're doing to your body. Your kidney, sometimes your kidney malfunctions. You develop sugar. You develop pressure. I have friends who have developed pressure. Pressure sugar when they are like 28, 32, like that. Many of my female friends have developed PCOS. So stress is it's going to affect you in the long run if you don't take care of it. So then, as we mentioned, that there are relationship with supervisor and erratic work schedule are the most important things, important stressors. There are two other factors. There always a perpetual feeling of uncertain future. What will happen? What will happen? While we can't do anything about our future, we can secure our present. So then there are other things that I think it's already known that all researchers are poor. We have socioeconomic issues. We have financial troubles when we are doing PhD. So how to handle it? First and most important thing which I like to address is a supervisor. So, how to build a relationship with your supervisor? First, you'll have to understand one thing. Your supervisor is not only doing a research, he is already bogged down in research, in administrative duties, in acquiring funding, in talking to other collaborators, and he has his family. It's probably he's more stressed than you are. So it may so happen that he may be rude sometimes, so don't take it to your heart. uh, then there are, like, for the best way to cope with your supervisor is like a matchmaker. You are going to get married to your thesis and he is your matchmaker, and he should know what he is getting into. So it's best that you inform him beforehand while you shoot a mail in the beginning, he how you want things. It's not like, sir, I want this, I want this, but you tell him your plans. Sir, I want to do PhD in so and so topic, and I hope to achieve this within 3 to 4 years, and I want to go to so and so places, collaborate so and so, not in one day, in the beginning of your PhD. So he gets to know you, your expectations, and then when he tells you his expectations, you get to know him. So in that way, an understanding develops between you and him or her. So this is there. So then if sometimes it may so happen that he is so much busy in his own work, eh, he might not call you to see your progress. In that case, it is your duty to set regular meetings and have an agenda, and you will, like, update your supervisor in every 7 days or 15 days, that this is the progress, that this is like that. And obviously you should never ever cancel meetings. And uh, suppose have doubts in some place, in anything, if you have doubts with him not giving you time, if you have doubts with your research somewhere, if you have doubts with funding, don't be shy, be open and tell him that, sir, this is the problem, sir, can we do something about it? just share your feelings. So I think we are all good human beings and we don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to stress ourselves also. So I'm sure your supervisor will help you in that case. And one most important thing which I have seen from my friends and from other my colleagues, what I have realized, that sometimes it so happens that students don't understand what is a PhD and they expect that their supervisors will define the problem, they will give them work and things like that. It doesn't happen. Your supervisor will never ever spoon feed you. Your PhD is your journey. He might be give you some ideas or he might correct you in the way, but that way you have to do the journey on your own. So you don't expect that he'll define your problem. He will obviously do some helping. He'll correct your thesis and he'll correct your writing maybe. He'll give you some contacts. He'll help you with collaboration or project writing, things like that. But he won't will never ever spoon feed you on your research. So you don't ever expect that. And then maintain a good relationship with your committee members. For in my case, what I had, like, there is a committee. Obviously you all have committee, those who are PhD students here. Maintain a very good relationship with them, not only your guide, because your committee is also looking after your PhD. My committee member helped me in ways I cannot never express. I mean, I am forever grateful to them, the way they have helped me with my research. They're no less than guides for me. So what happens, so they help you with your research, of course, and where they come into picture, in any case you have misunderstanding with your guide, you can obviously go to a committee member and you ask for help. Always you can do that, they are there only. So always maintain a good relationship with your committee members. So it is there. Now next is economic issues. So you are already bogged down in work. Your PhD advisor is like, you have to publish papers. You are with a lot of things in your mind, and then you have economic issues. So you need to sell your skills. The most thing you can do, you can obviously go for tutoring. If you have some good skills, like if you are a good dancer, you can go for you can teach people dancing. If you do, if you're good in writing, you can go for content writing. You can pitch your articles to newspapers and they'll pay you for that. So you can all the time you can sell your skills. I know it will take a lot of time from your PhD, but if you have economic issues, you can do that, and people do that. And then you can go for paid internships, and you can apply for different scholarships and grants. You can go to conferences from conference grants. So things are there, you just have to be vigilant. So now uh, coming to the thing, uh, dealing with depression. So as I have already mentioned that in our academia, the three things that are most common is depression, anxiety, and imposter syndrome. So first you'll have to see, you have to identify that you are depressed. The mental health awareness in our country is so low, we don't want to accept that we are depressed. The thing is that just like we have our body, if we have body, we have a lot of functioning going inside our body, and we get diseases and we go to doctors. So similarly, in our mind also works. So our mind may get a bit low sometimes. So you have to accept that we can get depressed, we can get anxious, and we can get mental health issues. So first you have to accept that. So how to understand that you are depressed? It's not like you are depressed for, but okay, today I am depressed because I didn't get good food in Zomato wala se aaj problem ho gaya, so I'm depressed. It's not like that. It happens for a prolonged period of time. Suppose you're constantly feeling sad, and then you are very feeling hollow inside. you're like, ab mera kuch nahi ho sakta, and then why am I doing this to my parents? My parents have so high expectations from me, and I'm not able to return it back. My guides have so much high expectations from me, and I am not able to give him anything, and I'm worthless piece. And then you lose interest in everything, in your hobbies, in activity. You don't want to eat, or you stress eat, and then you don't want to sleep, or you oversleep, and you are very irritated all the time. You cannot remember things, and then you're sometimes you feel like, what is the purpose of this life? And I'm from IIT Kharagpur, and let me tell you, I was there from 2013 to 2018. And I'm very sad that I have to tell this on record, that every year there was a case of suicide, every year. And at one point, we have to do a lot of reach out activities, and we have to undergo severe training programs. We had different programs, happiness programs, and things like that, so that people get to know what is mental health. So it may so happen in academia, we are under a lot of stress. So we have these thoughts and these fleeting moments of realizations that my life is meaningless. So if that happens, that please understand that you are depressed. And with depression and anxiety, they more or less come together, and they may come differently, but in most cases, from my experience, I have seen that they come together. And then what is anxiety is, you always worry about your, what will happen now, what will happen future, अरे अभी क्या होगा, how my presentation will go, how this I mean, experiment will go, who will I collaborate with, ab to kuch nahi ho sakta, and things like that. Then you have this uncontrollable thoughts. One moment you are thinking this about this problem, in the next moment you are thinking about that problem. One moment you are thinking about your parents, and then you are thinking about your in-laws, and then you are thinking about your PhD issues. It is a problematic thing, and then what happens? You do not concentrate. You cannot concentrate. It affects your PhD, and it affects your in the long way, in the long run. And then there is the third and the most prevalent thing, that is imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is a thing when you start question yourself, and for everything else you start feeling guilty, and you start making yourself okay, this is happening because of me. Maybe I am not good enough. No matter what you do, no matter what you like, uh, how hard you try, so always there is a perpetual feeling of emptiness and hollow, and you think that no, how hard you try, nothing is good enough because you are not good enough. So there is, you can see this, uh, what you are thinking, what you know is very less, and you see that everyone else is best, and you are the worthless person sitting among the big Nobel laureates. It happens. It has happened with me also. So, but what reality is, you are in the same position as they are. So there is a perpetual imposter syndrome, and sometimes it is momentary. Like maybe you are overwhelmed with work, and then at that week or that month you are so much into work, and then you are exhausted and not sure what will you do, and then you start questioning yourself. So these are the both types of imposter syndrome, and in both types, the self doubt and this guilt feeling, the sense of guilt is there. So how to deal? So first you have to realize that not every day in PhD is going to be productive, and that's okay. Not every day, you realize that not every month is going to be productive, and that's okay. Not every day is high and not every day is low. And let me tell you, not every emotion is static. The moment you are feeling this emptiness or hollowness, or you're realizing this guilt, this feeling is not static and this will pass, and whatever you're feeling now, it will go, but you just have to endure and cope up in some particular manner. So how do you endure? So I've already mentioned the characteristics. So what are the characteristics of depression and anxiety or imposter syndrome? First, you identify yourself that, okay, I have depression. So the moment you accept that you have depression, self acceptance is very, very important, because accept that you are depressed, you're anxious. So it's very normal to have mental health issues. Uh, as I mentioned, too, like we have our body, and we may get problems associated with our body. Similarly, with mind. And the moment you acceptance is the first way to normalize mental health issue, and acceptance is the first way towards healing. So you accept that, okay, I am not well and I am depressed, or I am having mental health issues. So what is the next thing you do? Talk, talk, and talk to people. Talk about it. Uh, when I was in PhD in the first year, I had a personal problem. I had very severe personal issues in 2013 and 14. So it was not because of my PhD, but that personal thing was taking a toll on my PhD, frankly speaking. And at that point, I was very naive and I didn't know what to do. And I was keeping it within myself, because I was thinking, कि लोग क्या सोचेंगे, what other people will think. And then my guide noticed it, that I am not delivering what I should be delivering. And then he asked me, कि, "Tuli, you have some problem kya? You can tell me." So at that moment of desperation, I started crying, and then I told him everything. And let me tell you, it was so good for me. And the moment I told him everything, he told me his perception. And then I go to my other friends. At that point of time, I was very new to the school, and not everyone was my friends. Anyway, I told my roommates, and I started telling people my problems, and I started acquiring different perspectives. And let me tell you, that helped me a lot in every way possible. Not only it helped me to, like, pass the moment. For example, it was kind of a peer counseling to me. My guide is making me understand, my friends were there for me. So talk to people. Sometimes peer counseling helps a lot. uh, so when I can believe that I can do good research, I feel that I am not good enough. And I doubt that, I was doubting myself that this field is okay for me, or whether I was not able to distinguish whether it was a personal problem or it was a problem of PhD, which may happen to you as well. Now, you may not have any personal problem, but you can have problem with your uh, overwhelming work. So if it happens, that's okay. And then when you talk to friends or guides, whoever have survived this, uh, they tell you their experience, their feelings, and uh, they welcome you to the world of academia. And they will tell you that the feelings that you're feeling right now is perfectly okay, and you are absolutely meant for this academia, because you are in the right track. If you are feeling overwhelmed and you are developing imposter syndrome, or you are depressed with your work or exhausted and stress, that means you are in the right track. So uh, it is there. So as I said, we talk to people, their experience not only help you to overcome your problems, their experience also evolves you as a human being, because you learn their perspective and you learn from them what they're telling. So, and then if you are a introvert kind of a person and you're shy, then you talk to in Facebook, in chat, in WhatsApp, email, do whatever works for you. But reach out. I mean, you have to reach out. Reaching out is very, very important. The moment you start reaching out, you will normalizing it. And as I mentioned, normalization of problem related to mental health is the first step towards healing and dealing with it. And then the most important thing in PhD, which I have learned from my guides, is that when I went there, they told me, he develop a hobby. Tuli, you do something. You don't always like, okay, you are coming in weekend, you have to come on weekends. That's okay. But then do something that will rejuvenate you. Not you are always thinking about how are injecting gas in coal and in shale. It doesn't work like that. You'll be exhausted and your brain will be tired. Your productivity will slow down. So it's best to develop a hobby, do something. For example, my guide is a 50-year-old, 58-year-old person, 56 to 58, I don't know. But he is a national award winning playwright. He is a wonderful poet. He is a wonderful actor. He's, he's a very good researcher also. It's still he does all these extracurricular activities and he encouraged me to do this. So it's basically with his encouragement, I developed a hobby of doing, I was a good theater actress too. And similarly, you develop a hobby, enroll yourself in some activities, and do something that transcends you mean it spiritually, and spiritually doesn't always means like you have to do meditation and things like that. For example, when I'll give you my example. When I'm playing a person's character in stage, I'm experiencing her life in her shoes. And when I'm making it realistic and audiences are appreciating it, it really gives me a fulfilling experience, and that experience rejuvenates me. It boosts my confidence, and then when I go back to my research, I am my confidence is plus 0.5 than before, and I deliver better. So it's like that. So it not only increases your productivity, it also rejuvenates your mind, and it increases your thinking capacity. And like I said, you have to develop some hobby. So after end of the day, from the beginning, so the more you develop hobby, the more you will be associated with different people. So it's a lesser chance that you will be less stressed out. So then, if you are feeling a bit low or inadequate or depressed, it's best to take a break and put your dissertation away for a while. This I learned from one of the collaborators of my professor. He told me this. When he was doing his PhD in Australia somewhere, and he was very depressed at one point. And what he did basically, he just backpacked and he just put away his dissertation for 6 months. He was very much upset with whatever reasons. It's not concerning to me. So he just backpacked and he traveled some parts of the world. And when he came back, he was completely rejuvenated and he completed his thesis. The productivity increased so much, and he completed his thesis in time. And then he is now in a very big position. So, imposter syndrome is very common in academia. So, if you are feeling something like that, you just put out your dissertation away and do something, make your friends, family, do whatever. But when you come back and take one step at a time, you do a bit writing today, you are doing the research next day. It's like that. And then another tips I would give: please don't compare yourself with your lab mates or your high achieving PhD friends. I mean, you are also high achieving. That is why you are there. So maybe at that point, you are not maybe you are not delivering as you should be in your mind, but you are an achiever. So don't compare it. When the moment you start comparing, the moment I mean, you will be ruining yourself. And then there are, and cut down the friends who insults you, like oh my God, you have not yet published 4 papers. Look at me. I already have 10 papers. You learn from the, I mean, take criticism, but I'm sure you know what's the difference between a criticism and an insult. So cut that down. And finally, the most important thing which I saved for the last is please, please seek help. If you are depressed, if you're anxious, and nothing is helping you, you go to a therapist. For example, when I was in the early days of my PhD, due to my personal reason, I went to a therapist too, and it helped me a way uh, I can never imagine. The therapist will give you tasks. She'll give you some writing, some diary writing, some question answer session will be there, and it they play with your cognitive skills. And basically, the job of a therapist is to restructure your cognitive skills. So which we tend to lose while we are depressed. We cannot orient our thoughts properly. So he or she'll help you restructuring your thoughts. So always and always get help. If your friends are not helping you, if your peer counseling is not helping you, that means you need serious help, and you go and seek mental health. Mental health, go and seek mental health experts help. So there is no shame in that. You go to doctors for when you have fever or things like that. So go and seek your help from mental health experts. If you're in a campus, go to the campus facility. If you're not staying in campus, you book a session with a therapist or things like that. Because if you don't do that and you keep it in your mind, ultimately it will affect your PhD only. It will affect your deliverables only. So then it will more stress you, and it will go in cycles. So do that. And then listen, I sometimes listen to motivational talks. For example, talks of Michelle Obama or Steve Jobs helps me a lot. If you may listen to people like Ravi Shankar, Sadhguru, or whatever works for you, so do that. And then obviously you should always access mental health resources and helplines. Then dealing with stress. As I have mentioned, the success in PhD life, it depends upon your mental fitness, emotional fitness, and physical fitness. What happens in India, we are always in a rat race, and our system only knows the importance of IQ. What our parents never taught us in our generation, I'm telling that there is an importance of EQ also. Like if you go to any companies and if you have to be successful, you have to have a good EQ, and how emotionally mature you are and how you are dealing with stuff that determines a lot of things in your life. So IQ is not important, it's more EQ is more important. So emotional fitness is very, very important. And physical fitness is obviously important, because let me tell you, if you're not physically fit, a lot of time you will waste a lot of time behind doctors. It happened with me only. If I add up to, I had sustained 2 injuries, 2 surgeries, and a contagious disease. So it took up 1 year of my PhD life. And if it was not planned well, I would have, I mean, be going into the sea of ocean of depression. But thankfully, since I have planned things fell in place. So what happened is, if you are not physically fit, it will affect your career also, because it will delay your thesis. So there is a chance that so you will have to be physically fit. So, how to deal with stress? I can tell you that have a social life, make as many friends as possible, because don't restrict yourself in your laboratories. Make friends outside your laboratories, because the more you deal with people outside your laboratory and you not only hear about their research, they'll give you feedback on your research as well. They will give you some neutral perspective. And suppose I'm in geology, and if I daily talk to a chemical engineer guy who can understand bits of my research, and then he can tell me, Ki, Tuli, you can do this also, you can do this experiment also. So that helped me a lot, and then so it is there. So you have to have a social life, then you will obviously go out with them, you party with them, you gossip with them. Gossiping is very important to have a good social life. So you cultivate hobbies and interests, which I already mentioned. Staying healthy is very, very important. You do always, I know everyday exercise is very painful, but you have to do it. Hello. Okay, so stay healthy and then maintain a healthy relationship with your advisor. And okay, sometimes, okay, I have to mention one thing. What I have seen in my friends and what I have heard, that in India, there are things like you have to know your rights very well. For example, if your advisor is telling you to babysit his children, or he's telling ki, you do grocery shopping for me, then okay, you can obviously do 1 or 2 times. I mean, on the humanitarian ground, he is a human being and he may have some problems. But if he is doing that daily, then you tell him, sir, it's not possible. It's not your job to do grocery shopping. So what I have seen in many people are purposeful. They are creeping behind that, अरे ये तो मुझसे ये सब काम करवा रहा है, and then going and doing that grocery shopping for him. I have seen people uh, uh, doing like uh, gardening, gardener of their uh, uh, supervisors, or they are like uh, babysitting their supervisors. So don't do that on a regular basis. Please don't do that. So and if things are very bad, you supervisor, I would suggest that if it's in a position like in a dead end, that there is no point of no return, it may happen na? So if it happens, it's best to switch your supervisor. There are always provisions for switching your supervisor. So if it is not there, and I would always say, always have a plan B. Plan B in your life, and that's a different thing, but plan B in your research also. Suppose you plan a research, it happened with me only. I wanted to do an experiment, which finally the funding wasn't there. And the thing at that point, nowhere in India that instrument was available. And then at that point of time, IIT Kharagpur didn't have many exchange programs. So I was stuck with, I had to change it because I had a different plan in mind. If this doesn't materialize, I have plan B. So I worked on that basis. What happens? We end up panicking because suppose you say you want to work in uh, gas flow modeling or things like that, and you don't have the instrument, and after spending 1.5 years you realize ki, oh my god, it's not possible now. Then you have to rework the whole thing, and then you have to work the whole object, change the whole objective, things like that. No, don't do that. Do in the beginning. If this doesn't happen, then you have plan B, then you have plan C. If that doesn't happen, plan D. It's like that. So always have a plan B. If this collaborator doesn't agree, then have plan B for another collaborator. So you have to be very vigilant. That's why I mentioned that you have to keep your ears and eyes very open. Then obviously normalize PhD stress and anxiety. Okay, it happens to everyone. Don't feel shy and keep things in yourself. Talk about it. Talk and talk to people. Talk to your supervisor, talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to everyone. Practice mindfulness and self-care. What is mindfulness? That you are aware that what is happening with you. So once you are aware, you can cope up with it in a certain way. So once you're aware, you know what to do. So practice mindfulness and find work-life balance, which is very, very important. And obviously, one of the most important thing is mental health services. You seek mental health services. This is there. Then finally, this is very important slide. for me, and I'm sure you'll all agree that PhD life is full of breakages. Every life is full of ups and downs and cracks and cracks. And once you reach that spot, I have seen many of my friends who are professors, and when I see them and when I hear their stories, I feel so proud that okay, these people are there, and after enduring so many things, they have reached to that place, and now they can look back and they can cherish their struggle. Okay, this has happened to me, and I have survived this, and so they can guide little children and their students. It's like that. So display that with it's a badge of honor for you. Okay, I have survived this. So it is there, and this is my final slide. And thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Tuli. I'll be thankful if you stop the screen share. Yes, it is absolutely true that PhD research, but so interestingly, you have brought so many points in today's discussion that managing stress is basically an individual's responsibility, and at the same time, as a society, if we help each other, like you said, from your own experience during IIT Kharagpur stay, you had done a lot of outreach activities wherein motivating and supporting others makes a very very big difference. So
Yes.
not only an individual responsibility, but as a society whole, other students, like we can help each other. So very
Absolutely.
nicely you have brought all those points. We have few questions from our audiences. See, basically, you told there were many, incidences happens in our during our PhD journey or research journey, and the stress is built up. Initially there may not be a stress, because once a person joins for PhD, that is, it is his or her decision. And then when we start PhD, there are expectation. We start
Absolutely.
automatically, in the laboratory, if some student have published four paper, we will see, oh my god, he has published four paper, and then you automatically get stressed up. And then you feel like, oh, why my work is not happening, why I am, and then suddenly you get rejected at if you submit the paper. So I think it is a lot about expectation, and sometimes you depressed so much that you fall into a trap of procrastination. Then
Yes,
you end
absolutely,
up into
absolutely. It
time
happened to
management.
me also. I know this. It happens to all of us, I guess. That is why networking is very important. I mean, meeting with a lot of people. So, see, if you are only confined within your lab, say your lab mate is publishing 10 papers a year, and then you see, ki, oh my God, this person is like a Nobel laureate. I am nothing, next to nothing. And then if you have other friends and you see, okay, they are also publishing like me 2 papers or 3 papers a year, and then they are also reaching to good places, and or your, for example, their supervisor and your supervisor see their performance, you get to hear things now if you have a lot of
Absolutely.
group.
So, can you, based on your own experience, guide our researchers, young budding scientists, that how one can, manage effectively the time, and also, overcome this procrastination habit in with your own experience? Few tips on that, so that because stress build up only because the work piles up. So it will be very nice.
That is why I mentioned in the initial stage, whenever you're going into a research, you have to, any research, suppose in a PhD or postdoc, you have to have a plan that, okay, I'll complete this within, you have to have a plan. It is absolutely imperative to have a plan, you know. You cannot go into PhD and say, okay, I'll see this, I'll see that. This is the first thing about PhD, and my it is my request that you please have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you will be in problem. So if you don't plan, you start planning from now. So for example, with me, what happens is, say I set up my own timeline ki, I'll end this work within the month of April, and then I suddenly maybe seeing my friend or my lab mate is publishing 10 papers a year, and then I see my guide is highly like motivated person, and he expects a lot from me. And then what happens? Okay, I start questioning myself. Okay, can I deliver like him? Can I deliver like him? No, it doesn't happen like that. Your guide knows your limitation, your guide knows your strength. If he, अगर उनको आपको लेना होता नहीं लेना होता, he wouldn't have selected you. If he has selected you, that means he has faith in you. And if you have a plans, for example, if you in your mind that you will deliver this within the month of March, so you try, you take your time, it's okay. You can procrastinate for a while, like 10 days or 15 days if you are very much overwhelmed and you're like what to do now. So you take your time, as I have already mentioned. You take your time, you watch Netflix or do things, or if you think it's that bad, you have to talk to people and start taking help. And there is an online session which I would like to mention. IIT Kharagpur, I have learned from IIT Kharagpur. I have learned this Your Dost. Your Dost is an online mental health service. You can obviously at any point of time you can call them. I have taken their help, and it's absolutely helpful. I think they have student discount also. I am not sure. You have to check for it. So I have taken their help, and it helped me in every way possible. So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I did that. And then if they're procrastinating, it's okay to procrastinate. It's okay what you're feeling right now. You don't have to rush. But since you already have a target, and we are humans, okay, we don't want to like um, we don't want to lose our face. So if we say ki we have to submit it within March end, then I might be starting from 7 day backwards, but maybe I'll finish 15 days later, but I'll finish. I'm sure it happens to me, but it's very important to take the help. If you're in need of help, please go and seek help. That's what I'm trying to say. You talk
In
to.
continuation with the same thing, doctor, in India especially, the mental health is like a different issue. It's like a taboo. Going to a psychiatrist or taking mental related health openly is considered as like something that people don't want to talk about, and then they hide it, and then the cases of killing ourselves and
Yes,
such
yes,
things happen. So this is very very scary, and I think organizations, they should come forward and then support, or officially having such support on campus would also
absolutely, absolutely.
be beneficial. You also mentioned that having a very good supervisor plays
Hmm.
a very very important role, and but sometimes students, when they are in the initial stages of their phases of research, can you guide in a few quick tips with quick tips how to choose a good supervisor? Overall everybody is good, but only the some things happens, and then the supervisor becomes a big villain. So please guide our students
So
how to.
I think I have already mentioned in I think in my second slide that there are three things. When you're choosing a supervisor, the supervisor is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Okay, it's not a matter of 5 years. Trust me, it's not. I am still in touch with I have two supervisors, and both were really wonderful person. Both are really wonderful person. I am in touch with them, and probably I'll be in touch with them. And I'm in touch with my, obviously I'm working under my present postdoctoral supervisor, and I'll be in touch with him for the rest of my life. And everybody is wonderful, but what may so happen, how to choose a guide, that's the most important thing. So as I have already mentioned, those who are not yet doing PhD, my tips would be just look, you research about your supervisor. How what kind of papers he is publishing, how many papers he is publishing, and what kind of journals, in what kind of journals are they, peer reviewed, good impact factor journals or things like that. What who are, because if he is publishing papers, good amount of papers in a year, with these different students, there is a chance that you will be also in that zone, that okay, whatever may happen, you have that thing in your mind ki, okay, I'll do it, because we as humans, we always try to match up to the level. So there is a chance that we'll publish papers. Now point number two is, you look for the what kind of projects he is handling. So number of projects is important, because the more type of projects he is handling, that means he's very much up to date with his field, and very much so he might give you some very good ideas. He obviously, he'll not define your problem. You don't even expect that I'm repeatedly telling this again and again, but he'll give you good ideas. And more projects mean more collaborations. He have a lot of collaborators, that means. And how collaborators will help you, suppose you don't have a thing in your laboratory, suppose you don't have an instrument, then collaborators might help you. Your guide might talk about you, talk to you, you go to them and then go to their laboratory and do these things. I did a collaborative, for example, not everything was available in my laboratory or in IIT Kharagpur Central Research Facility. So I did a major part of my instrumental work from a research laboratory outside. So that was only possible because my supervisor was in good terms with them. So it is really a very big considerable part of my thesis. So collaboration is very important, and look for what kind of conferences he is attending. Conferences are very important because of networking. So look for, you will, if you like research, then you will see that his students are going to this and this, so and so conferences. So publication, conferences, and this collaboration, these three things are very important while you are choosing a researcher, right, your guide.
Wow, fantastic. Dr. Tuli, you spoke about research publication, and publications are the one that are talked a lot, and all the expectations, rotates around the publications when a matter of, research supervisor as well as researcher comes, because research supervisor expects you to publish, and going beyond publish in a good journal, then good journal of a high impact factor. So lot of things of these kind comes. So how do you suggest that one can plan for a like quick number of publication, like quick tips maybe? And of course these number of publications affect the chances of getting recruited at a different places and also in your entire career. But then what happens generally, then students, they do not meet those expectations, and they face this problem, and then they fall into trap of stress, too much of stress, and then they forget the track. So what is your comment?
Okay, so the thing is that about publication, I would say what I have learned from many of the people around me. Um, I have learned it from them that quick publication is an art. Let me tell you that. Not everyone can do that. Like 10 papers a year, it's not cup of everyone's tea. But still, my suggestion would be, suppose if you are very much, if you have a good grasp in your subject, and you have a lot of like friends who are in different departments. Suppose I'm telling you from my experience, my lab mate was a student of chemical engineering, and I learned a lot from her. Because my subject was a bit interdisciplinary, gas absorption in shale. So what I learned the nuances of adsorption isotherm, what kind of I mean, at that point of time, those researchers were very new in India, and only at that point of time, only she was doing it. So she was taking acquiring a chemical, giving a chemical engineering perspective to it. Suppose if you, for example, now I'm telling you, you 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 uh, acquaint yourself with a lot of, I can only tell you from my experience. So uh, for example, I am doing a research in shale gas and carbon dioxide sequestration, a gas absorption diffusion study. For that, I have to read outside my research also, which can be linked to my um, thing, like metal research is about metal organic framework or activated charcoals, and see what kind of things, new things they are giving. For example, sometimes when we are working in India, it is not always feasible. हमारे पास इतना resources नहीं है to use them and then do a completely new thing. So we have to add some twists and turns and add some elements to our research. So how do I add some elements? Suppose I'm doing research on shale gas, and if I add an aspect of activated carbon or things like that, because shale has also carbon particles inside it, organic matter, which are organic carbon. So if I add some aspects of like activated carbon or adsorption studies, I add some things of metal organic framework, things like that, then it will add a value to my research. Okay, and you have to be a very, you have to keep a vigil ki what kind of researches, you have to follow a lot of people or stalwarts in your area, outside India, inside India, see what kind of researches they are doing. And then, okay, they are not doing, they have not yet ventured into this area, so I can venture into this area and publish the paper, and it's in good journal. One of my friend is working in hyperspectral remote sensing. Let me tell you about her. And she is doing on coal. Now, what she is doing, she is doing such a great work. She is adding elements of artificial intelligence and statistics to it, because her lab mate is a is a very good researcher in artificial intelligence and deep learning. So if you have a lab mate of that sort, use his expertise, use her expertise, and then combine, you write a paper that will also add value to your research. Na? I mean, combine, I mean, collaborate with people outside your department. Collaborate with people inside your department who are doing uh, research in different areas, so they can add their perspective in your research. So together it will make a very wonderful research, and it will, your paper will be published very quickly also.
Wow, excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Tuli. We have another question. So generally, while pursuing research, whether it is PhD or research assistants or a postdoctoral position, so or especially while you are at the end of your PhD, there is always a lot of stress, like whether what will happen to my career, whether I will get a job after PhD or whether I will get a job after my master or even after postdoctorate doctorate. What will happen if the suppose postdoctorate position is for 1 year or 2 year, so there is always stress build up what will happen next. So generally for PhD and master research student, when should one start preparation and how to handle that stress of anxiety of finding a job? Yeah.
See, I can only say this is up. What can I say? I mean, this is a problem with me also. Like, what will happen? I think it's a problem with everyone. I can only say my guide says a thing that you cannot uh, decide your future. Like, you cannot stress yourself कि आगे future में क्या होने वाला है, because it is not in our hands. We none of us knew that COVID-19 is coming na. So I had planned so huge plans for me when I joined postdoc. Everything got delayed because of this COVID-19. So you cannot expect for future. What you can do, what is in your hand, and how you can, whatever is in your like vicinity. My supervisor, my postdoc I have learned this from my postdoc supervisor. He's an excellent person. And at COVID-19 we were working on a thing, and it was I was stressing ki, what will I do, it's half done, so how will I publish it. And then he suggested that you don't have things to your future, so if you're now holding this for your future, then ये भी delay हो जाएगा, and then we don't know what will happen when things will get open. So whatever you have in your hand, you are a good writer, start writing it. Obviously me and my lab mate collaborated this for this. We both, he is also an excellent researcher and an excellent writer, so we together we really did a good, we combined whatever our experiments were, and with the help of my postdoctoral mentor and with his suggestions and ideas and tips, I when we wrote a paper, and then it I had no idea that it would get published. And the thing, it came out beautifully. The paper came out beautifully, and nobody could tell that. Okay, so it was. We could have added some more element to it, and then in the and now we are adding the next element to it, and it's part two of the research. So you cannot decide on your future, and you cannot stress yourself thinking about your future. It's not in your hands. If you uh, in that way, we can always say, oh my god, if I get cancer, what will happen to me? Oh my god, if I get diabetes, what will happen? What you can do, you can prevent diabetes, and you can lead a healthy life now. So what you can do your research now, and then you can add on to it later. So don't think about your future. I mean, it's very easy for me to say, and I have also this thing in my mind, but you just go on with it. You apply to different places. It's only application is in your hand. So you work, you have published good papers, you apply, and then you go on.
Absolutely, very true. That nothing is in our hand, but always working towards it, keeping a positive attitude, I am sure it helps a lot. Like it always, like you said, small baby steps, like baby takes small steps, but baby falls so many times, several times, but the baby doesn't get scared. So likewise, you said, you did research work and you thought, okay, let us publish, but then while publishing you must have thought, okay, this is not a publishable quality, it may get rejected, but still keeping that positive attitude and moving ahead with those baby steps, and then you see that you are running, you have got such a beautiful strength. So that's how students, uh, Dr. Tuli, you have a very good compliments on your talk. Your talk is a very, very good, very informative, and your tricks and tips, what you have gathered from your own experiences, will definitely help the budding young research scientists. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. We have another question. I will take one quick question, and then we will end this session. So while particularly a student, feels always afraid of making presentation, and particularly PhD open defense. So how to gather some necessary skills and strength to give a very good dashing PhD open defense.
Okay, let me tell you about PhD Open Defense. Is the easiest presentation of your life. Let me tell you that, because the hard part is coming after that. That's what I have learned from different people, those who are my friends who are now in different colleges as professors, or my seniors who are professors. PhD defense सबसे आसान होता है, because you are presenting in your home ground, in your in front of your scrutiny committee, who will probably won't ask you many questions, and you're super like you already know what is your questions are going to come, because they have the outside where the thesis has gone, he has already sent you the correction. So once you are corrected, it's the easiest presentation of your life, because once you go for presentation for a job, their actually drilling starts. They will take, I mean, they can ask you, if you're even if you're a geology student, they can ask you from quantum mechanics to statistics also. There is no limit, it's limitless. So please don't get afraid of your
Yes.
it's you're playing in your home ground. There is nothing to fear.
And PhD is a work wherein you have spent almost 4 to 5 years with that work, with that data, and uska pura postmortem kar diya hai aapne.
You know better than your guide about your PhD.
Yes.
That's the
And
thing.
you become the expert. Even guides sometimes do not know that why the data is
Ha.
fluctuating, why that problem. You're the expert, you're the boss of that entire work. I think, being confident what we have done, and having a very good communication and presentation skill, and preparing for the open defense presentation for a long, presenting it in front of friends and practicing.
And
And
also because you are presenting it in the final year, now before you already knew these people. Day one, in PhD in IIT Kharagpur, there is a system of registration seminar. Then every year this is an extension seminar. Every year there is one annual seminar. So you're already giving your seminars like 7, 8 times, and they're presenting outside in conferences. That's the purpose of going to conferences. And then there are research scholars day in IIT Kharagpur. We have research scholars day. You're presenting it to so many people. Like defense is the easiest thing. Probably nobody would ask you anything in defense. So don't get
yes.
stressed.
Yeah, that's very true, Dr. Tuli. So we come to an end. We have been talking for past so much of time, and very simplified and beautifully, with a simple tricks and tips you have shared your own extract. आपने ऐसे निचोड़ निचोड़ के आपने जो अपने खुद के एक्सपीरियंस से जो गेन किया है, that you have shared with all the researchers, early career scientists, and with all of us. I'm sure if we follow these tips and tricks, our journey of research in career, is going to become very smooth, and we'll be able to handle the stress. And if at all, if there is a stress, yes, they can contact us, they can talk to us, they can take our help. I'm openly, offering our help for any PhD student. So see, we are all colleagues here, so I'm openly offering help, be it in practice of your presentation, or be it in any other thing. So we will be very happy to help you out in that matter. And with this, I would like to thank Dr. Tuli on behalf of Indian National Young Academy of Science Mumbai chapter,
Thank you.
Indian National Science Academy, and my very own behalf, and Dr. Vivek Parker and Dr. Vikram Vishal, all of them, have helped in organizing such a beautiful lecture. And I'm sure this will help all the students. And thank you so much. And I look forward your association in helping our student in be it a mentoring for managing stress, or helping them giving tips and tricks for doing a quick research publication or quick research. Everything, see, everybody wants with a quick, but it is not a quick way. And we need to make sure that. But yes, we have to grow together with each other's support and help. So with this, I would like to thank you everyone,
Thank you very much.
and stay safe, stay stress free. Take care.